Welcome to the 1 Hour Guide by Anil Nathu.
Yes, welcome.
Today, we are diving into clear thinking, turning ordinary moments into extraordinary results by Parrish.
Specifically, the 1 hour guide version.
Exactly. Gotta love those 1 hour guides.
Absolutely.
And it's so relevant. Like this book basically says, if we can just understand and master our unconscious biases, habits, emotional reactions.
It can totally change like everyday moments into exceptional results.
Yeah, and that's huge for anyone, like entrepreneurs, business leaders, or anyone who just wants to be better.
For sure. It's like self-improvement gold.
Right.
And, this idea really aligns with the mission of the 1 hour guide by Anil Nathu, to provide these awesome frameworks for better decision making.
So our goal today, really simple.
Yeah.
Summarize the key takeaways. The most important points, insights, and lessons Parrish shares in Clear Thinking.
Sounds good to me.
So Parrish starts off strong. He talked about what he calls the enemies of clear thinking. These are those sneaky mental defaults that really mess with our judgment.
Right, those little things.
And the first one he hits us with is the emotion default.
Uh-oh. We all know that one.
Right, we've all been there.
Yeah.
Acting based on pure feeling and not logic.
Yeah, and what's crazy is how sneaky this emotion default can be. We think of it as these big outbursts, but it's not always that obvious.
No, it's not.
Think about it. Maybe you're feeling a bit anxious and suddenly you just ditch this project that could have been great, or you get so excited about a potential reward that you completely miss the risks involved.
Oh, yeah.
It happens all the time. That's why Parrish says, first, you got to recognize those emotional triggers, what sets you off.
And then he talks about this idea of creating space.
Yes, like a buffer, right?
Yeah, between the thing that triggers you and your response.
Exactly. You don't just react instantly. You take a second, breathe, and then...
And then you choose your reaction.
Exactly. And this is where focusing on the desired outcome comes in.
All right, so if your goal is to have a productive conversation, getting angry is probably not going to help.
Probably not the best move.
Okay, moving on. The next enemy Parrish talks about is the ego default. And I think we've all been there.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one. This is all about looking good or being right, even when it's not the best decision.
Yes, exactly. Like admitting you made a mistake.
Forget it.
Or when someone questions your ideas, you get all defensive.
Totally. It's like a reflex. But Parrish is really clear here. He points out the huge cost of this ego default. You become stubborn, teamwork goes out the window, and guess what? You miss out on growth.
Totally. It's like that business leader who is so set in their ways, they miss all the signs that their plan's failing.
It's a classic example. But, admitting you're wrong, it's not easy.
Oh, it's so hard.
Parrish gets it. He says, look, our self-worth shouldn't be tied to always being right. He even says we should actively look for criticism.
So it's about recognizing when your ego is calling the shots and realizing the price you might pay for it.
Absolutely.
All right, next up, the social default.
This one's all about fitting in, right? We naturally want to conform to what everyone else is doing or thinking.
Even if we disagree deep down.
Totally. It's imagine you're in a meeting, everyone's agreeing with this proposal, but you have some serious decks.
But you just nod along.
Exactly. Parrish highlights how important it is to be aware of this group dynamic. Sometimes you need the courage to stand alone if your logic tells you something different.
And that takes guts.
It does. He also says we should surround ourselves with people who are willing to challenge our thinking.
To give us those different perspectives.
Exactly, because sometimes you got to step back and ask yourself, do I really agree, or am I just going with the flow?
Okay, last enemy, the inertia default.
Oh, this one's all about that resistance to change, that comfort in the familiar.
Staying in our comfort zones.
Even when it's not good for us, it's like that company that's still using outdated technology just because that's how we've always done it.
Oh, yeah. I can think of a few companies like that.
Parrish warns about this. He's like, watch out for stagnation and missed opportunities. You got to recognize those areas where you're clinging to the status quo and honestly ask yourself, what's it costing me to stay here?
And sometimes, even the smallest changes can make a big difference.
Totally.
So how do we fight these enemies?
Yeah.
Parrish introduces this idea of default to clarity.
I love this concept. And it's central to the 1 Hour Guide by Anil Nathu, too. Basically, you're intentionally training your mind to favor clear, rational thinking instead of those automatic default reactions.
So we're not just letting our minds go on autopilot.
Right, it's active. You pause before you react. You recognize when emotions, ego, social pressure, or inertia are messing with your thinking, and you make space for logic to win.
It's a constant effort, but it sounds so worth it.
It is.
Okay, so we got the enemies down. Now, how do we build up our defenses? Parrish gives us 4 key strengths to focus on.
Like building mental muscle.
Exactly. And the first one is self-accountability.
The foundation, right. Taking full responsibility for your actions, decisions, and the outcomes, good or bad.
No more blaming others or making excuses.
Nope, it's about saying, what could I have done differently? You set high standards for yourself and actually hold yourself accountable to them. Like, think about a leader. A truly self-accountable leader doesn't pass the blame.
They focus on solutions and learning from mistakes.
Exactly.
Strength number 2, self-knowledge.
This one's all about knowing yourself, your strengths, and your weaknesses.
Really knowing deep down.
Yeah, and Parrish says you gotta leverage those strengths. Like, really go all in on the things you're naturally good at.
Maximize your potential.
But at the same time, you have to know your weaknesses. Like, where are you vulnerable? Then you put safeguards in place to protect yourself from them.
It's like knowing your limits. You don't have to be good at everything, but you need to know where you might need help.
Absolutely. And how do you gain the self-knowledge? Feedback.
Oh yeah, asking for feedback from people you trust. And really taking time to reflect on your experiences.
It's crucial.
All right, strength number 3 is self-control.
Keeping those emotions in check so they don't hijack our decisions.
It's easier said than done.
It is. Parrish talks about those emotional triggers, the things that just set you off. He says, figure out what those are for you.
So you can be prepared.
Right, and then he suggests creating rituals or techniques to help you stay grounded when things get tough.
Like taking deep breaths.
Exactly, or running through a mental checklist, anything that works for you. He even says it's good to gradually expose yourself to stressful situations to build up that emotional resilience.
It's like training for your emotions.
Exactly, so you can stay calm and rational even when everything's hitting the fan.
That's a superpower right there.
Yeah.
And last but not least, strength number 4, self-confidence.
That quiet confidence in your ability to think clearly and act decisively?
Not arrogance.
No, not at all. This kind of confidence comes from preparation, from really knowing your stuff. It also means seeing failures as learning experiences, not as setbacks.
So you trust your judgment.
You do, but you're also open to feedback.
That balance is key.
It is. And surround yourself with supportive people.
People who believe in you.
Yes, because that makes a huge difference.
So we've talked about building our strengths, but Parrish also reminds us that we have to manage our weaknesses.
Right, because even with the best mental muscles, we all have those blind spots, those vulnerabilities that can trip us up.
It's human nature.
It is. So first, you gotta honestly assess yourself. Look at your past mistakes, ask for feedback, analyze those failures.
And it can be hard to face those things head on.
It can, but it's so important for growth and better decisions. And you know what else? We have to understand our biases, like confirmation bias.
Where you only see what confirms your beliefs.
Exactly. Or the sunk cost fallacy, where you keep throwing money or time at something that's clearly not working.
Because you've already invested so much.
Right.
So once we're aware of our weaknesses, what do?
We build safeguards. Parrish suggests creating decision-making frameworks.
To give us structure.
Exactly. Checklists are great too, so you don't miss anything important. And don't be afraid to talk things out with trusted advisors.
Get that external perspective.
It's so helpful. And sometimes you need to set boundaries.
Like against making decisions when you're emotional.
Exactly. Or even avoiding situations where you know you're likely to make bad choices.
It's like having a system of checks and balances for your own mind.
I like that.
But let's be real, we're all going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
So how do we deal with them?
Own it. Parrish says, take responsibility without making excuses.
No blame game.
Then dig deep. Figure out the root cause. Don't just focus on what went wrong, but why it happened.
And then what?
Make a plan. Adjust your approach to prevent the same mistake from happening again. And remember, failure is feedback.
It's a chance to learn and grow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you learn from the experience and move on.
Okay, so we've got a better understanding of our minds and our potential pitfalls. Now, how do we actually use clear thinking to make good decisions?
Parrish gives us a 6-step approach. And step 1, which often gets skipped, is to define the problem.
Seems simple enough.
It is, but it's crucial. Ask yourself, what's the real issue here? And don't make the problem too narrow, or you'll limit your solutions.
Makes sense. You can't solve the right problem if you're not even focusing on the right thing.
Exactly.
All right, what's step 2?
Explore all the possible solutions. Brainstorm, get creative, think outside the box.
Don't limit yourself.
Right, and talk to people with different perspectives, get their ideas, and don't forget to consider doing nothing at all.
So weighing all the options.
Yeah, and that's step 3. Evaluate those options. Look at the risks and downsides of each one.
And think long term.
Right. What are the short-term benefits versus the long-term consequences? And Parrish suggests using mental models here,
Like what?
like inversion. Instead of thinking about how to succeed, think about how you could fail. It helps you see things from a different angle. And then there's second-order thinking, which is all about thinking about the ripple effects of your choices.
Thinking several steps ahead.
Exactly.
So after we've evaluated everything, what's next?
Time to take action. This is step 4. Once you've made a decision, commit to it.
No more second guessing.
Well, unless there's a really good reason to reevaluate. But otherwise, just go for it.
Be decisive. And step 5.
This is about creating a margin of safety. Don't assume everything will go perfectly.
Always have a backup plan.
Exactly. And stay flexible so you can adapt if things change.
So important. And the final step.
Learn from your decisions. Once you see the outcome, take time to analyze what happened. Did you make the right call? What could you have done differently?
Reflect and learn.
Exactly. It's all about continuous improvement.
So clear thinking isn't just about isolated good choices. It's about aligning those choices with our bigger goals and values. And that's what Parrish dives into in the last part, wanting what matters.
Totally. He argues that even the best decision-making process is useless if you're not aiming for the right things.
Makes sense.
He uses a Christmas carol to illustrate this. Like, Scrooge was a smart businessman, but he was chasing the wrong things.
He wasn't fulfilled.
Exactly. So Parrish says, think about your future self.
Imagine looking back on your life.
Right. What would your future self say was important?
What legacy do you want to leave?
He also talks about happiness research. Like, there's a difference between pleasure and true fulfillment.
It's not all about instant gratification.
No. And the experts say that relationships and genuine connection are key for long-term happiness.
Not just chasing money or possessions.
Right. And it's more about focusing on your own progress, not comparing yourself to others.
Defining success on your own terms.
Exactly. Then Parrish brings up this idea of memento mori, which means remembering death.
Whoa, that got dark fast.
It might seem dark, but it's actually a powerful way to clarify your priorities. Like, if you knew you had limited time, what would you focus on?
What really matters?
He also shares some common regrets that people have at the end of their lives.
Like what?
Like, not taking more risks, not spending enough time with loved ones, and not being true to themselves.
So basically, live a life without regrets.
And that's where clear thinking comes in. It's not just about making better decisions, but about living a more meaningful life. And this 1-hour guide by Anil Nathu makes it all so accessible.
So powerful.
It really is.
So in a nutshell, clear thinking, through the lens of the 1-hour guide by Anil Nathu, teaches us to be aware of our mental traps, build up our mental strengths, manage our weaknesses, and use a structured approach to make decisions, all while keeping our values and goals in mind.
And remember, it's a journey. It's about constantly learning and improving.
It's about making more informed choices and living a life that truly matters.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you for joining us today. Buy the book at the 1-Hour Guide website for more business insights.